Well, energy is everything, right?
Yep.
Your energy walks in the room before you do. So it really matters. Like, you know, you show up to a business meeting, you're going to show up with a certain energy, like a confidence, a knowing, hey, this is where we're going, blah, blah, blah. You're not like, hey, what do you guys think about this new thing? Like, nobody's going to respond to that. But also, you're not showing up to your wife as a business meeting. You're showing up with, like, this is somebody I love dearly, I care about dearly. I want the best for us. I want the best for her. I want the best for me. So you're showing up with, like, a confident but a loving energy.
Hey guys, Happy New Year and welcome back to the show. As you can see, I am greeted by my lovely wife, Erin Holt, who is also a women's coach for over a decade, helping women deal with their growth, support, and helping them transcend into the next level. So, babe, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. So we were talking about questions and comments. We had a flood of comments come in from the guys from the previous show that had questions. But today I thought we'd talk a little bit about something different. Comes up for a lot of men, a lot of couples. But here we are at the new year. And although all the people you talk to say, oh, I don't set New Year's resolutions, they do, consciously or subconsciously. But what can a man do to help set goals for his family, between he and his wife in particular, coming into this new year?
Okay. Well, yeah, it's like, can be a perfect time of year to capture just the energy that is here, right? It's just like kind of like a fresh start. And I think it's just really powerful when couples can sit down to do it together and dream into like the big dreams that they have for themselves, for their family, for individually, for business, for also, I'm going to put a big one in there, fun. Like, I don't think the fun makes it on many people's list. I know the last few years with raising our young children, I'm definitely this year, one of my priorities is having fun, like with my friends, but also fun shared experiences with you. And I've shared that with you like
several times.
Very important. Let's have fun while we're doing all this amazing growth and work and all the things that we do to be the best version of ourselves. But fun for sure gets to be a part of that.
Yeah, and you and I are in a slightly different space than a lot of guys listening to this and their couples are going to be. So I want to take that into consideration, but still fun is there. And we call it being the CFO, the Chief Fun Officer in the moment. And so just so the guys know, what you and I did is we had a babysitter come in. Our kids are 3 and 6 to watch the kids during the day. And you and I went to a coffee shop and we sat down and kind of wrote down all the things that we had going on, right? I'm traveling, doing events and things like that with the men that we serve. But also things that you want to do, like you want to go back to visit your family with the kids and, different vacations we want to do, spring break. We sat there and listed out all the things that we wanted to do for 2024 so we could look at the landscape, right, and see what was coming up. And then you sent me a text yesterday. What did that text say, roughly?
I said, another way I feel like that I know it's really powerful to capture the energy of our goals and just put them. So like, I've also been guilty in the past where I'm like, I create goals, but then they're like tucked away, right? So nobody else can really see them.
You like to do everything on the slide.
Yeah. And I'm like, all of a sudden I like, boom, did this, right? But I know it's really powerful to put them up like on our fridge. And like I did it yesterday. I put up January goals and I just made a whole list from everything from like automate this to safer kitchen remodel to health goals, to personal business goals, to marriage goals about our date nights. So it's visible for me every single day, whether I sit there and fully read it or my subconscious will for sure pick up on it every day. You're also aware. And I said, do you want to do this with me? And then at the end of every month, just kind of look back, do an evaluation of like, oh, cool, that felt good at the beginning of the month. Actually doesn't align anymore. I want to do it like this. Awesome. Check. Did this. Me taking action on this led to this door opening. But the other thing is to store. I'm going to store it in actually what you gave me for our wedding. He gave me a beautiful like wooden box with all the special places we have been and gotten engaged and all that. Store it in there. Start one for February, March, et cetera, and to the end of the year, look back and see how far we've come because we will be different people, and be like, oh wow, in January, like we said we wanted that, but that was already done by July, or like everything just. The energy of moving forward, momentum will lead to bigger things than you can ever imagine. So I think it's really powerful to do that as a couple.
I agree. And this is also a perfect example between men and women in communication because you just gave what we call a meadow, right, of the details and everything else. But the text you sent me basically didn't say any of that. It just said, it was really straight to the point.
I know my audience who I was talking to then, I guess. Also, the other thing I want to say.
Which is perfect though, right? And real quick, and I'll let you go jump in.
Yeah.
Is the text, and this is important for the guys to know, is you just sent me a message that said, hey, look, I want to put my goals for January. Would you like to join me and do this together? We can post it in the kitchen and keep each other accountable. It was really, that was pretty much it, right? Which was great. And it was great that, you took the initiative to come through there. But again, I think what we're talking about for the guys to understand is being in alignment, right? And not, it doesn't have to be that you have the same goals, like, hey, we're both going to study Chinese this year or whatever. But you're being in alignment in the sense that you're both being there for each other to hold each other accountable. Like, hey, what is it you want to achieve in January or 2024 or whatever the time frame? The time frame is not important. And how can I support you? Right? What are the ways in which support? And I think an important one is, what does supporting you look like? Right? So for me, you look at the carrot and the stick. I much prefer the stick than the carrot, right? I much prefer the old coaching style, of doing things and motivation. And that's not yours, right? That would come across as harsh, sarcastic. I'd be come across as an asshole if I did the way that I like to be held accountable towards you. And so I think it's really important for the men that are listening to this to understand that if you're going to do this with your wife, make sure you understand what support looks like for her.
Definitely. And this also, I think it's really important, or I know it's really important to, move forward and be like, oh, wow, these are things I've been thinking about, dreaming about. I'm actually going to put energy towards them this year. And also to go back and thank yourself for the previous year, because you for sure have grown. If you're on the listening to this podcast, you've done a lot of work and looking at yourself, healing yourself, experiencing new experiences, figuring out ways to do life in a way that feel better for you. So make sure you are thankful for yourself for the work you've already done to come to where you are today. I think we skip over that step a lot.
Yeah. So I did that personally. I do that every year. I do it often. And we teach the men within the Powerful Man to do that every week, right? Is to go back and look at your lessons, what you're grateful for, and where you've come. And one of the things in doing that yearly review, and we didn't do it together because you were back east visiting your parents, and I decided to stay here and take care of some things. But I took some time in the evening to sit down and just list it out. And what you do is you're like, oh yeah, we went to the beach. We rented a place on the beach. Oh yeah, we went to Banff, Canada as a family. Oh yeah, we did this event. Oh yeah, we did that. And it's really cool because for me, I'm so forward thinking, present and forward. Very rarely, unless I force myself, do I go retrospectively. And so sitting down there and remembering all the accomplishments, all the great things that we achieved is great. And I always talk about this with the guys, is you could have the best day of your life. You could have just a friggin' 10 out of 10 day, and you're driving home, you're feeling great about everything, and some guy cuts you off and gives you the finger. What do you think about the rest of the day? That's the only thing you focus on. It's human brain. It's the way the human brain works. So we need to rewire ourselves and go back to this idea of gratefulness and looking back at all the good things. And that's a great way to start for a couple.
Definitely. I guess something just came to me, so I'm going to say it. And I think it's more of a feminine thing, but I'm going to say it. So I think also it's really important, however, it's probably in your program somewhere, but I think a really, really vital thing of setting intention, goal, whatever you want to call it, is how do you want to feel? Because I think it's we get really caught up in the stress and the doing and the got to do the next thing. And it's yes, that's amazing to produce results and create things and, manifest all the things that you dream of. If you're doing it the whole time and you feel horrible on the inside and you feel tons of guilt or stress or just completely wiped out, so that when you're actually around the people you love, you're kind of not an amazing human being, but you're an amazing human being out in the world. I've challenged people to how do you want to feel on a daily basis? How do you want to feel when you're around your family, the ones you're doing all this work for, right? Your loved ones, show up the best version of yourself. Make sure you want to do that behind closed doors as well. I feel like it's a really common thing I hear.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. We don't talk about that as much. We talk about, what do you want to be? Who do you want to be? How do you want to show up? It's very similar. Us guys aren't as much into the feeling talks. We skirt it a little bit.
Yeah, but you're really capable.
No, I know we're capable, but you know how it is. You got to give them what they want before you give them what they need. I know you do. So I can imagine a lot of guys listening to this are excited. They're like, wow, that would be amazing. everybody wants to be a partner with their partner. They want to feel like they're in partnership, right? They're going to be a power couple. And so imagine a guy's listening to this right now, and maybe his wife's in the car, maybe she's not. But I'm picturing a guy driving, and they're in the throes of things. They got some distance between us. Kind of that analogy we use is you're sleeping 6 inches apart, but you feel like you're 6 miles apart away from each other. How does he initiate this conversation if the mood around the house, the conversations around the house are just logistics, just about the kids, soccer practice, things like that? His wife is going to have walls up. He's got walls up. Obviously, he's got to take those down. But how does he initiate this conversation around reflection and then planning for 2024 so they can have the best experience as a family?
Ooh, good question. I was going to riff first thing that comes to me.
Yeah.
So it's, yes, like everybody within their partnership wants to feel like they're the most important person to their person. Hands down, right? So it's just like, you start with that. Be like, you're my most important thing. Like, I want to create a 2024 being, lay out what you want, like more connected in our marriage. I want to have more fun with you. I want to have more sex with you. I want our family to have this. I want our home to be a safe, harmonious place. I'm using feminine language, but like, and I also want to be able to, you know, provide this through my work and my business, and just like sharing what you actually want in a way she can actually feel you. Super powerful, otherwise known as vulnerability. And setting aside a time for that conversation, because it deserves space and time. It's not something you have while you're, you know, making lunches and breakfasts in the morning, and like, you know, it deserves its own space, like you and I created.
Yeah. So let's talk about that in basic steps. We're guys, we like directions.
Okay.
Right.
Book the babysitter if you have children. If you don't, book the date, and like, let's set it, like if you're going to be at home, which is totally cool. Like, I don't know, build a fire, light the candle, like make it a little bit special. Perfect. Make it fun. Make it fun. Don't show up with your spreadsheets like you're at a board meeting. No, boring. Right? I did that early on. A relationship didn't work so well. Nope. Let's talk about finances. Sharpen the pencils. Yeah. So you want to be in dream state, right? You want to be in a state of creativity, a state of play, like almost like childlike, where you're encouraging each other. And in this case, since we're talking to the guys, you're encouraging your woman to draw out what her real dreams are. Because sometimes for some people, not for you, but their dreams are scary. Sharing their dreams are scary. Are people going to laugh at me? What are they going to think? And especially if there's been an adversarial relationship in the house, you know, your wife, not your wife, but the guy's wives might be hesitant to share their true dreams. And it might be hard for them to see their dreams with that person. Yes, very true. That's why the more couples, I think, can get in practice of having meaningful conversations, meaningful connections. It doesn't always have to be like a 4-hour date, but putting more intention and energy into your marriage, your person, your long-term partnership is always going to like reap the rewards that we want. And then like, if you want to create a better marriage, which I'm assuming everybody on here wants to, one of the fastest ways, as I know you guys teach them, is to improve the relationship with yourself. Yep. Stop trying to control your partner. Look at yourself, and you'll free up so much energy and stress. Yeah, luckily for you, I'm perfect, so it makes it makes it easier for everybody. We just turn the focus elsewhere. One of the questions I think that, I mean, there's so many New Year's questions. One that I came across the other day that I was like, ooh, that hit me. So I feel like I might hit other people. It was something along those lines. It's like, where do you want to be when you look back next year at this time? Like, you know, within all your categories, health, wellness, whatever. At this time, and like, how do you want to feel also? And then rocking chair test. Yep. Or just within the year. Yeah. Still. Yeah. It's a nice rocking chair. You like rocking chairs. Yeah. And then just kind of like use that as kind of like this would be amazing. This would be amazing. And let yourself go outside of like, there's no end of like how you're going to get there. It doesn't matter. Yep. I know I used to get bogged down on all that stuff. The how's the least important always, right? Yeah. That how figures itself out, especially the men that listen to this and the women that listen to this show, they're overachievers sometimes. Yeah. They can be a little more decisive if you ask me, but they're overachievers. So yeah.
Those are great points. So we're setting the scene. We got the date night set up. We've got the babysitter, or the kids are old enough, or whatever. We're out of the house or in the house. One thing I'm going to throw out there, and then I'm going to ask you my question is: don't drink too much. If you like to drink, great. Have a glass of wine or whatever, but don't drink too much. Especially if there's agitation in the relationship, because it's going to tend to create more tension in there.
100% agree.
So what we want to do here then is what could be an opening line that you would want to hear either from me or one of the women that you coach personally? Like, what's a good opening line? I'll ask you first. What's a good opening line for a guy to start off with to broach this subject, assuming it either A, they haven't done it recently or ever, or B, it's never gone well? What would make you feel safe?
Yeah. Well, for me, I think a lot of women, but depending on where they're at in the relationship, but it's like, have you pull me in and just say, come here. Like, I love you so much. Like, this year, we're doing things differently. I'm here for you. I've got you. Like, I really, really, really want to create a better marriage. And it's like just so, so, so important to me. And you're important to me. And I want to do this with you so that we can create, a harmonious home, a happy marriage where we both feel safe, which leads to, all the fun stuff, laughter, playfulness, intimacy. So sharing, like I said before, it's always sharing what you truly want.
I love that you got emotional as you were saying that. You can see it in your eyes.
Yeah, because it's like, it matters.
It does matter. And guys, this is a version of the hidden motives technique that we use. Exactly what she said. It's a modified version. And I'm going to be doing a whole masterclass on this. You didn't know this, but a whole masterclass. We're filming it actually either this week or next week. I can't recall. But it'll be released probably in March. So if you guys are interested in getting that hidden motives masterclass, anybody, just go ahead and email vip@thepowerfulman.com. Didn't want to interrupt that. It was a spontaneous comment, but when you said that, one is it hit me personally because how real it was for you. Two is it's a technique. The way that you phrase that is how we teach the guys to better communicate. I mean, you remember how masterful of a communicator I was when we first got married.
That was very special.
Grew up in a house with all boys, brothers, playing sports my whole life. Just communicated like a guy, very direct and very, wasn't the most eloquent. It took me a long time to figure it out. Still work in progress, but aren't we all? Yep. So we got there. The man has lowered her walls, made her start to feel safe. For a lot of these women, though, I got to imagine, Erin, that for a lot of these women, if a guy does it the way you said that, and guys, don't say it verbatim the way she said it. I know half of you guys have already paused this, rewound it, written it down. Practice it, but make it your own thing, please. I have so many guys do this. When I give them like, hey, this is what I would say. Then they say that verbatim. Eventually their wife figures it out. So, her walls are down. She's starting to feel probably safe for the first time, probably a long time, if ever, in the marriage. And that's where a lot of women report back when guys go through our program. This is the first time I've ever felt safe in a relationship. And the guys are like, wow, I'm just using these techniques. But it's basic,
emotional safety.
It's emotional safety. She feels safe for the first time. And as a man, that's what I want. I want you to always feel physically safe and emotionally safe and spiritually safe, always. And so the guys, they want that, but there's that resistance. Anyway, so we got that scene. Now what? She's feeling safe. How do I continue this conversation with her?
Either have your guys's, I don't know how they, your family does your scheduling, but family calendar, or already have it booked. Be like, I set aside time we can do this Thursday, from 4 to 7. I've got it handled. Dinner's handled. Like, I just really want to do this with you. It's really important.
Awesome. Do you think it's important for the man to lead that conversation or ask, hey, would you like to do this with me?
Both. Setting the stage for it and leading it, and then also do you want to do this with me? It's really important to me.
Yeah, that
we do this together. Yeah,
I would suggest, and tell me if I'm wrong, it'd be important for him to inquire, but also then tell why it's important to him.
Exactly.
Right, and that's what you did in your intro, basically. I want a better 24, 24, better year for us. But you said it very directly. Like you said it with a lot of confidence. Like, this is what we're doing. We're going to have a better year. Basically, you didn't say that, but it was inferred.
Well, energy is everything, right?
Yep.
Your energy walks in the room before you do.
Yep.
So it really matters. Like, whatever you have to do before, I feel like before a lot of conversations, but like, just think about like an easy thing, a metaphor to think about. It's not even a metaphor, but like, you show up to a business meeting, you're going to show up with a certain energy, like a confidence, a knowing, hey, this is where we're going, blah, blah, blah. You're not like, hey, what do you guys think about this new thing? Like, nobody's going to respond to that.
Yeah, I'm reading a book on this right now on body language and hidden cues. And it's funny that you say that because the woman who's a specialist in this is referencing the guy who invented the ring, right? The ring, the doorbell video thing.
Okay.
He did a pitch on Shark Tank and he rang the doorbell. And they said, "Who is it?" And he said, "It's, I don't remember his name, Dave, here to do a pitch." And he said it with a question intonment. And what she was saying is they've studied this. Psychologists have studied that particular pitch. And the guys will get this because it's a business pitch. And all of a sudden, it created instant distrust in him.
Yep.
Because he wasn't confident.
That's the same thing happens women to men.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why I brought it up. But I'm giving an analogy to something these guys can understand a little bit. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it.
But also, you're not showing up to your wife as a business meeting.
No.
You're showing up with like, this is somebody I love dearly. I care about dearly. I want the best for us. I want the best for her. I want the best for me. So you're showing up with like a confident but a loving energy.
Yeah. You just said something that's super key that most of the guys aren't going to catch. There's 3 entities there that you mentioned. So, you've trained in this for so long that you forget that these are newer concepts probably for the guys. And I do too. But men, what she said there was really important is there's 3 entities that you want the best for. There's her, there's your relationship, and then there's yourself. And you must make sure that all 3 of those are taken care of. Because if any one of those isn't taken care of, you're off balance and the whole friggin' thing collapses.
Yes.
Yeah, I know you. Sometimes it's hard to forget what,
Yeah. Well, it's also just all of 3 of those things have energy too. So it's just like a simple concept, like showing up with the right energy, but also like you're going to fight. You're going to disappoint each other. You're going to hurt each other. The art of repair is important, but also like I think a big question that is also really important even for us to ask continually is how do we want our marriage to feel?
Yeah.
Like over and over again, because you're going to grow, you're going to change. You have kids, they get older, whatever. Schedules change, dreams change. Our marriage has died and been reborn a lot of times already.
Yeah.
In reality, we haven't even been married that long.
Yeah. And it should be, I think. I think it could constantly be evolving. I think something that people forget consistently is I'm not the same man you married. You're not the same woman I married. Your interests are different.
We're parents.
Yeah, we're parents. There's all kinds of changes, though. The books you read are different. The dreams and desires you have aren't all the same. Some of them are, right? Your character hasn't changed. Your values haven't changed. Some of them have morphed a little bit and beliefs and things. But the thing that you and I do is we check in with each other and kind of figure out, and very few couples do that. That's something you and I learned along the way. So I think that's an important tip for the guys if they're going through this and they're sitting down talking about 2024, reflecting on 2023, is also take a moment to get into your wife's world and understand what it is. So I take note of all the books you read, right? Just because I'm curious of what you're into. It's because I care about you. And it's also, I'm just curious what kind of stuff you're into right now, what shows you're watching, what classes you're taking. It's intrigue because I love you and I want the best for you. And if I can support you in some way, I think that because life gets busy.
Sure does.
Kids get busy, work gets busy, all of these things happen, and the men that we serve are business owners. So they never clock out, right? The moms never clock out, right? Dads never clock out. So you have all these roles that are going in, and sometimes we forget to check in with the person that we love and committed to and to see who are they now.
Yeah. Another thing that's coming up is also allow each other space to like dream differently. Like it might look different. And we hit on this, another topic we'll talk about another time, but feminine and masculine energy and everything. And I know I probably go about it in a very different way than you do.
You do.
And allow that, right?
Yeah.
Like honestly, sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, maybe I should do it the way Doug does it. And I was like a little wobbly, and I was like, oh wait, that doesn't actually work for me to get to the, like my true, like what I actually truly desire. So yeah, let her dream differently and let yourself dream differently. And, you know, you still share your experiences, but it might just be a different approach.
Yeah, a totally different approach. And I certainly can fall guilty in either one, assuming that you're thinking the same way I am, or two, maybe at times even assuming that when you're talking about something, I'm like, oh, well, that doesn't make any sense. Or what, from my perspective, everybody takes things from their own lens of view, their own perspective, as we go through life. And so, yeah, I think it's important not to, in this conversation we're talking about, not to squash dreams. We talk about, hey, how do we do this? Okay, we want to travel 6 months out of the year, but we also want to buy a new house. We want to do this. We want to grow the business. Okay, something's got to give, right? But don't bring up that something's got to give conversation during this date that we're talking about now. Just get it on the table and let everything out and let everything be seen. And then you can eventually back into the, okay, yeah, you want to travel for 6 months. I think that's a really great idea. And you want to build a business, grow your business. Okay. Is it possible to do both? Yes or no? You start making decisions. And a lot of times, and we do this in business. In fact, we did it yesterday here as the team, is we mapped out the calendar of all the dates that I would be traveling, things we want to get done. And all of us looked at each other and go, there's no way we can fit everything in here. It's impossible. But it brings reality to the conversation. Okay, what do we want to take out? What do we want to keep in? And now you can start looking at what's really important.
Yes. And I also feel like a little bit of this is like feeling like, yes, let's get down to the reality of like, okay, this is important. This isn't, let's like put energy here first. And I'm also going to like flip, like sometimes with, I know for women, the men on here, a lot of them have women partners. So we mentioned how everything's energy. Men have intuition as well, but we're very attuned to our intuition and the way things feel. So like a simple place where I can go to connect with the unseen energy of whatever you want to call it, different dimensions, God, spirit, anything, just quiet meditation. And like, I will ask like, what do you want me to know now? Or what's my next steps? And so like, there can be different like ways to acquiring manifesting. That's not a linear way for men and women, but I know a lot of women that I work with are tuned into this and I teach them this. So things can happen very quickly in a different way that kind of seems like a magical, energetic way. But yes, there's steps that you need to do and action steps of all that. But as far as like not squelching dreams, because sometimes I think we can think small out of fear. And yeah, so that same question about like next year at this time, where do you want to be? The follow-up question after dreaming with that is, okay, if you could wave a magic wand and 10x that, where would you actually be at the end of this year?
Interesting. Yeah.
Who would you be? Where and who?
So that's the question I ask myself. Who would I be to be the man that right? That's achieved all of these things. How does that man show up? Right? And things of that nature, to be a better husband, to be a better lover, to be a better father, to be a better business person, a better mentor, coach, and all of those things. And it's very similar to it's exactly what you're talking about, is being in that energy of what's possible.
Yeah. We don't have to talk about it today, but there's a lot of just neuroscience around how it can shift the way our brain works and fires, and really, really learning that skill of staying in connection with gratitude and possibility and other dimensions that are available. We can talk about that in another one, though.
Perhaps, yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got the date set, and we've got the goals. What's a good way of putting a bow on this?
Putting a bow on this.
Yeah. So let's just say a guy's here. He's been able to, he set the date.
Okay.
Made sure that everything was taken care of. Babysitter, kids are taken care of, so she could focus on the date itself. We've talked a lot about dating and what you could do, guys, and you can go back through previous podcasts and look. But let's say that's all set up. They're on the date. Her guard's down. She feels in a safe, more vulnerable place. They've talked about reflection. They've talked about dreams, right? And they're getting ready to either head home or if they're at home in this conversation, what's a good way of closing the loop?
If possible, well, I don't know. It's always fun to have some intimacy after.
You can say sex.
Sex. All right, have some sex after. In our circumstance, that wasn't possible, but yeah, keep it light, keep it fun. Like, grab her hand, pull her in, like just connection and fun, playfulness. Because dreaming's fun. Like, if our dreams are there for us, like they're meant for us. So it's like, let's pay attention and like sharing them. Sometimes can be scary because you're like, I've never done anything like this before. I'm nervous, but I keep thinking about it. So I'm going to say it out loud to somebody else and trust that it's a safe place. So keeping it safe and light and fun.
Love it. Guys, the message of the whole story, keep it safe, light, and fun. Mm-hmm. Absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for being on. It's always great. The guys love hearing your side of things as well. It's always good having you here. Gentlemen, as we always say in the moment of insight, take massive action. If you are in the Powerful Man movement, I'm going to encourage you to make a post. Make a post in our private community and let us know how this went for you. And if you have questions for Erin, I'm sure we can get her back on.
Absolutely.
And we'd love to have her on again. So let me know what questions you would like a woman's perspective on, and we'll move forward with that. Again, in the moment of insight, take massive action. We'll see you next time on the TPM Show.